Hello and welcome to 501c3 Go's Getting to Know You. 501c3 Go, for nearly 40 years, we have been changing the world one nonprofit at a time. 501c3 Go prepares the legal structure for your dream and vision to change the world. We honor your service to mankind, whatever that happens to be. Getting to know you allows you to know our clients, who are wonderful people doing wonderful things to change the world for the better. On this evening's Getting to Know You program, we are pleased to present the founder of the world's first public safety drone donation program. Mark C. Langley from Hebron, Connecticut, is the director and president of National Public Safety Drone Donation Program. Good evening, Mark, and welcome to Getting to Know You.
Good evening, David. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate this.
Yeah, first of all, I think that our viewers would like to know something about, what is a drone?
Well, a drone can take many forms. The most common one probably people can relate to is the one that fly, but drones can be ground-based robots. They can be water-based robots, and they can take on many different forms. In fact, there's robots that'll crawl through pipes and things like that. But our focus mostly is on public safety for the use of aerial drone technology. And we also focus on the technology that can be attached to a drone for imaging and things of that
nature. If our audience is like me, I really don't know what all that is. If you could maybe elaborate a bit. I mean, the technology part, what is that? And we have some idea of what a drone is. We see pictures and things, but I don't think we really understand really how it works, how it can happen, and how it's guided, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. Okay. So these just imagine like a helicopter with 4 props on it. Typically, quadcopters are the most common drone, although there are drones that can take off like a quadcopter, but it has wings and can fly like a plane. Many different configurations, but nonetheless, they all carry payloads, and they're typically battery operated. They'll have probably a flight time anywhere between 30 minutes up to 3 or 4 hours, depending on the type of platform they're flying. It will have a ground control station for somebody to control it. If anybody's familiar with FPV, first person view, these guys that race with the goggles on and they race these drones, that's another type of drone, but it's pretty much everything you put into the stick is what that drone does. The drones that we provide have built-in IMUs, which know the latitude, longitude, GPS location of the drone. They know the direction the drone's heading, the altitude of the drone, the speed of the drone. Lots of good metadata comes back. And also, most of these drones carry a really good camera. We're probably seeing it more and more on Discovery Channel and news stations. There's drone coverage. A lot of the TV stations now, the news stations have their own drone programs, and they use it to capture footage. It's a lot more cost effective, David, than to hire a helicopter at, let's say, $6,000 to $10,000 an hour to get out there. So there's a lot of advantages to a drone. They can be quickly deployed. They can be very small. In fact, I should have grabbed one for your podcast so I can show one. But if anybody's interested, they could go to our website, nps-ddp.org, and I'd be more than happy to send them some information about what drones are, what they look like, and prices and things of that nature.
Yes. Well, Mark, could you tell us something about your background?
Sure. My background has nothing to do with drones. My dad was an electrician, and I grew up in the trades, and I ended up out of high school going to HVAC school, heating and air conditioning and refrigeration. For many years, I had my own refrigeration and air conditioning business. And then I sold that when my kids came around, and as life happens, right? And then from there, we went to work. I went to work for a company called Alert Scientific, and we serviced a lot of laboratory equipment, from cryogenics to water purification to robotics. So I've been in the technical field for some time, always used to working with my hands. And from there, we just got to this point to where I ended up owning a drone company. That happened strictly by accident. I went to, I don't know, maybe 2015, 16. I bought one of these cheap little drones in the convenience store, that you buy for like 13 bucks. And it was very hard to fly. And I figure I'm going to get the hang of this. So I got pretty proficient at that. Because everything you do with the sticks is what that drone does. So those are really good drones to learn on. They may be cheap drones, but they're really, really good to learn to be a pilot, to be proficient. Because the next step up with the drones that we offer, when you take your hands off of the sticks, the drone just hovers. It just stays there and it waits for its next command. A lot of these drones, David, have the autonomous flight modes to where you can fly a flight mission pre-planned. You just hit go, the drone will take off, it'll go and fly its path and just do some amazing stuff. It's just really exciting. So I own a company called Airborne Works. We sell drones, we sell thermal imaging, we sell drone technology, and we also sell LiDAR systems. We train police and fire departments and public safety agencies in use of drone technology and how they can use it for accident crime scene reconstruction. Our company Airborne Works was the first company in the United States to be hired by the EPA to do a pilot study using drones. So we've got some experience with using the technology. And our most recent project with the EPA involved a very interesting technology called hyperspectral imaging, which looks at every spectrum under the light, under the sun that we see with our eyes, even more than we could see in our eyes. They can gather data with a drone from this. It's just an amazing technology. A lot of different opportunities. But one of the things that really drew me to start the foundation was the cost factor of some of this hardware is so high that, it's not in the budget. It really is not in the budget. So one of the things we found out, and I was very surprised to learn, and maybe your listeners don't know this, is that about 73% of all fire departments in the United States are 100% volunteer. Now try to wrap your head around all the men and women giving of their time, energy to help other people. Some of them don't come home because it's a dangerous job. That does not take away from the people that get paid for to work on fire departments and police departments. They are very, very brave as well. But I just can't wrap my head around all these people that volunteer their time. So for us, we're getting the same messages back when we were trying to sell them thermal imaging or drones. Look, Mark, it's not in the budget. What are we going to do? So what we ended up trying to do was reaching back to the manufacturers that we resell for, asked them for a discount to us so that we could help public safety. And that wasn't going to happen. They're all about the almighty buck. So I was trying to figure a way to help them and stumbled on the idea of a nonprofit, starting a nonprofit. This way here, I could give them the hardware free of charge. All I need to do is get the backers to help us to buy the hardware or donate used hardware, because we do accept used drones as well. I'm very proud and happy to say that we're just announcing next week a new relationship with an organization called Women in Drones. And we're also going to partner with Ed Wozniak, the co-founder of Microsoft. He started a program called WozEd, where they help kids learn about drone technology as well as other technologies. So the drones that we receive that we can't give the public safety, that just don't have maybe they're older technology and we can't get parts for them anymore, but they're still safe to fly, they still work. We're going to start donating to STEM programs. So we not only donate to public safety, we donate to STEM. So we're really excited about it. And thanks to you, quite frankly.
Well, let's say we have a fire department. How can the drone help the fire department?
Okay, there's a number of ways. As we mentioned earlier, air support's always been something of value, right? The military started long ago with air reconnaissance and just situational awareness from the air. And then when Sikorsky helicopter started in Connecticut years ago, and they developed the first helicopter, they started to see the value of these types of assets. But of course, with those assets comes a high cost, right? Fuel, aircraft itself, the pilots, and then you've got to get the asset to where the need is, right? So for fire departments, it's a no-brainer. If you could have, let's say it's a 3 or 4 alarm fire, a large loss, and they call in 3, 4, 5 different departments or engine companies to combat that. There'll typically be one or two people in charge of the command center, and they rely on the radio communication to tell them where to direct assets. And that can be time consuming if you think about it, because the vantage point from the air, from the ground, is limited, right? You've got buildings, structures, trees, all of the things that could be in the way. But if you have an aerial perspective, now you can direct your assets where they need to be safely. Another aspect of public safety is thermal imaging. Now, thermal imaging is like it's a camera, but it only sees heat. It doesn't see like what we're looking at right now in a picture. It only sees a heat signature. So the beautiful thing about that is no matter how dense the smoke is, the thermal imaging can see right through it. And how many firemen have lost their lives stepping on a roof to chop holes in where the timbers below them are burnt out and they've fallen into the fire and perished? Didn't get to go home.
Oh. How large can a drone be? I mean, could we ever see where a drone could actually rescue somebody, pick somebody up?
Oh yeah. There's organizations out there that are working on that technology. I think in Dubai, they're already starting a drone taxi service, believe it or not. So they're very sophisticated. But for the need of what you're talking about, the key component is getting there in time and addressing the emergency and helping people. We had a recent we have what's called partner supporters, organizations that join us and help and believe in what we're doing, and they partner with us. And 2 of them are software companies. One of them is a hardware company. They're Fox Fury Lighting. They're based out of Oceanside, California. Amazing company, family-owned business, and they donate lighting solutions for us when we make a drone donation. But the software companies donate software. One of these softwares, David, has got the ability to analyze images, RGB. When I say RGB, I mean red, green, blue, which is what we see right now on the cameras. This is what our eyes are used to seeing. When you take a camera, like a 20 megapixel camera as an example, 20 megapixel picture, that has 20 million pixels. So our eyes can only see certain groups of clusters of pixels, right? Because we can't really see at the pixel level. This software identifies at the pixel level. It's amazing. So for an example, if let's say a kid gets lost and they're wearing a blue jacket, as an example, we can use this software to analyze live video feed from a drone or pictures. And the current technology has been that you would take these pictures and you would give them to a person called a squinter, and they would look at these pictures under a magnifying glass. And the average squinter, a real good squinter, could identify man-made objects from natural features and try to pick out evidence or traces of that person being lost within 3 to 5 minutes. But you can imagine how tiring that gets on the eyes. This software will do 2 pictures in less than a second, and it'll do it at the pixel level. So these are types of technologies that we're giving to departments and teaching them how to use. It's really amazing. We recently did a donation of that very software out on the Navajo Nation in New Mexico. They had received a drone from the local coal company. That coal company saw the fine work that the Navajo Search and Rescue, Shiprock Search and Rescue was doing. And they said, listen, if you can raise $6,000, we'll come up with the other $6,000 and we'll buy you this thermal drone that they did the homework on, the coal company did. So they ended up getting a drone. They had never operated a drone before. The very next day, they had gotten a call for a lost girl. and she was, obviously parents are frantic. This is New Mexico. This is hot summers, cold winters, scorpions, snakes, places you can fall and get very hurt if not killed. So they went out looking for her. They found her, and she was stuck in a culvert. She went into it. She was trying to get in a culvert. She got stuck. Her little feet were sticking out, and they found her. And another one that really is kind of speaks to the value of
Well, let me just jump in before you tell the next story.
Mhm.
If you hadn't found that girl, she could have died.
That goes without saying. Yeah, it's a very harsh.
Without saying. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's a lot of people that die as a result of exposure or injury or that
Mhm.
fall that just don't get found. Some of them don't get found at all because nature takes its course or animals take their course or whatever the case might be. So
I'd love to hear the next story.
well, the next one's another great story because I don't know the exact timeline, but this gentleman who had dementia went wandering. And 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, he's not being found. They sent out search crews. They could not find this man. So this organization goes out with their thermal camera on the 5th day, and it's not looking good for the home team. You're not 5 days in the desert, no food, no water, scorpion snakes. It's just not probably going to be a recovery. But he went out at night because he knows that with thermal imaging, the heat signature is much more pronounced at night because it's cool at night in the desert. And if the body still has heat in it, it's just gonna pop like a beacon. So he saw a lot of animals and whatnot, and his drone, the drone that he had, was running low on its battery. And what these drones are very smart. They have intelligence built into them. And so it knew that it had to come home, or would have to land somewhere. So it went into return home mode. And what they do is they go up to a predetermined altitude that the pilot will set. And it made a beeline for the person with the controller. What this guy didn't know was that beeline went right over a body of water that he wasn't even searching in because he didn't think to look in water for this guy. When he's flying over, he saw a beacon of heat in the water. And of course, he couldn't stop because of the battery. He ends up going and landing the drone, puts a fresh battery and flies out there. He flies down to where this beacon is. It's the guy standing in water up to his chest. And of course, the guy's got dementia. He's been out there 5 days. He probably has no clue of what he's looking at, this thing buzzing in front of him. So they had to fly the drone back as soon as they could. And it's not like a direct road out to where he was. It took him about an hour and a half to get out there. And by the time they got out there, they went out with a flashlight and calling for him. They had to go out and rescue him. Come to find out, the guy survived. He needed serious medical attention, dehydration, there's just a whole thing. But he ended up saying that the reason he went in the water was coyotes were trying to kill him. Oh my gosh. So you can imagine one more day, the guy would be dead. And to get assets out, there's helicopters that can be called for this, but there's so much going on. You've got hospitals that have helicopters that will come out and help to do search and rescue when they're not doing emergency recoveries, or transport between hospitals or whatever. And New Mexico is a huge state. The Navajo Nation's, covers parts of New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. So it's a big area. So this particular department has 7 saves and 1 recovery. One of the recoveries, which is a sad story, but a kind of a happy ending because it brought closure to the family. This young man went out for whatever reason during the winter when it was really cold at night and died of exposure. They weren't able to find him. In fact, the FBI was brought in. They searched for him too. They couldn't find him. They, just assumed the worst case that he's not going to be found. Well, this gentleman who got his newfound drone goes out searching. The first day he found this man, recovered his body.
Well, that's good because otherwise the coyotes might have.
Well, I don't know what the details were, but it wasn't. You can imagine he was gone for 5 months, so there wasn't much left of the gentleman.
Oh, I see. Okay.
His remains were returned to his family. So that's where the closure comes in. So to speak to the value of drones, I think just these two stories, speak.
Yes.
We had another one, a donation in the Rio Grande border. This was a drone donation made by Autel Robotics. Very good company. They make drones. They actually contacted our foundation and donated 14 brand new Evo drones with the hard bundle case and everything to departments that they researched on our website. They read every one of the requests, and they chose 14 departments. One of those was the Stark County Sheriff's Department down in Rio Grande border in Texas, right on the border. Their requests greatly, said they have a lot of people coming over the border, getting lost, dying in the desert, or dying trying to cross the river. So it's a bad. Plus, they've got a criminal component going on there too. So there's a need for a drone for different use cases, right? 48 hours after we donated this drone, 48 hours, they apprehended a guy who had a very long rap sheet. He had prior convictions for carrying weapons, assault with a deadly weapon. The guy was not a good character. And in Texas, if you've been in Texas, there's a lot of high bush, so that can be if you're trying to run and hide, that's a great place to go. If you're trying to find your way home, that could be a bad place to go because you get disoriented and you don't know where you are, right? So this guy was booking because he didn't want to get caught by the cops, by the sheriff's department. They sent the drone up and they directed the deputies. They nabbed this guy. They sent us a pic and they said, Mark, we can't believe this. 48 hours we captured this guy. 48 hours after the donation. So these are great stories. This is just touching the iceberg of the opportunities drones have to help save people.
This is really great, Mark. This is really super. What do you see as the future in the drone world?
Well, sky's the limit, if I may use that phrase. Technology's changed, David, since you helped us through our 501c3, to get our 501c3, just since before we hired you and before, while we were building the foundation, the technology's changed quite a bit. And now the FAA is already drafting legislation and documents, and laws that will integrate drones into the national airspace. So for those who don't know, the FAA is, a great organization. They've got their hands full, quite frankly, with just regular aircraft traffic control. One of the reasons the air traffic in this country is so safe is because of the rules and regulations within the FAA. Every plane's got to be known where it is at any given time. Drones are no different. If a drone were to impact a plane, small engine plane or a helicopter, it could be catastrophic. So they're trying to weigh the balance between integrating these new technology into the airspace. So what they've done is they've established, for the most part, it's just a simplistic view of it, but you've got from ground level to 400 feet. That's the drone space right there. If you happen to be inspecting a building that's higher than 400 feet, as an example, a skyscraper or something like that, you can fly 400 feet above that. And then the fixed wing and helicopters, they need to maintain a distance of 500 feet from ground level. So there's a 100-foot buffer there. And, again, if they're flying over cities or something like that, they got to be 500 feet above the highest structure. So there's still that barrier built in. But there's a lot of idiots out there, quite frankly, I'm afraid to use that word. There's a lot of idiots out there flying drones in places they shouldn't be flying drones. It's giving the drone industry a bad rap. I mean, I've seen a YouTube video of a guy flying an FPV coming in on the tail of a commercial aircraft, like American Airlines, coming in right behind him as a landing. This is foolishness.
Well, if you have to stay 500 feet above, then how can Amazon deliver by using drones?
So good. That's a really good question. So what they're going to do is they're going to stay below the 400-foot level, or within the 400-foot to ground, AGL, which we call above ground level, AGL. and they'll stay within that space unless they have a specific waiver that lets them fly higher. The FAA will grant these waivers, but you have to follow certain procedures, processes in order to, get that permission to fly there. So,
But they couldn't deliver. They couldn't deliver to your front door, though, right?
no, but I actually witnessed a Walmart delivery of all things. Walmart's starting their own drone delivery program, and it was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I've got a colleague that's out there, and he's working for this program. And the Walmart's like right behind where we are, and there's a big condo complex. So there's certain picked choice neighborhoods that are going to start this service, right? Because they want to be able to keep the aircraft in line of sight. Currently, that's the law. You've got to keep the drone in line of sight, unless you again seek a waiver, which is called a beyond visual line of sight waiver.
So I still don't understand it. You've got this 500 feet. They got to stay 500 feet above.
Fixed wing and helicopters must stay above.
Oh, and the drones are 50 feet.
Yeah, no, the drones are ground level to 400 feet. So you have a 100-foot window between 400 feet and 500 feet.
So you could deliver to somebody's front door.
Oh, without a doubt. This thing's got a cable on it, David. It just it hovered over the address, and it's got a camera, and it drops this cable. It'll come to about maybe 150 feet, 100 feet above the property, above the line, and it'll just drop the package. It's just amazing. So you could have your seltzer water or your shampoo delivered. So
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's coming a long ways. There's a lot of companies doing testing. Everybody's vying for a position in this industry. But one thing I can say to your listeners, if they have kids that are interested in this technology, it's a great field to look into, because you don't have to be a pilot. You could be an engineer. You could be a designer. You could be a marketing person. There's just going to be a lot of opportunities. And we're not just talking public safety. We're talking construction firms. Look at the EPA, and hired us to do some very interesting studies. Our company also mapped an entire island with the drone up in Cape Cod, because another interesting use case. Another nonprofit has money to keep the harbor clean and the animals safe. Okay, so they have certain areas. They're trying to protect the environment. And they're keeping an eye on this particular island, was called Dead Neck Island. And as the tidal surge comes in twice a day, in and out, it starts to deposit or remove sand. And some of these homes are pretty high-end homes, and they get upset when they start losing their beaches. Okay, so what they did is they dredged part of the island off. That is, the window the area where the current comes in. They wanted to map what was being affected by this dredging. More sand or less sand being brought in at given points. So again, another great tool, another use case for a drone, or something like that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let me ask you, Mark, how you found 501c3 Go, and how was the process?
I did a lot of looking, David. It was like we used to let our fingers do the walking through the yellow pages. It's like now it's some people that probably don't even know what yellow pages are. But I Googled nonprofit. I'm looking for an attorney, a law firm to do it, because as I started to look into it, it was a pretty complex. Well, when you're dealing with the IRS, it's just complex. So your process made it very simple. It took a lot of effort on my behalf, because there's a lot of questions to answer. Right? There's a lot of information they want about you. So you can't sidestep the bureaucracy, but you can certainly smoothen out the ripples to the road to that bureaucracy, I guess. And your program did that for us. Did a great job. And actually, we got our approval on the first go around, so it was like really happy. I was sweating bullets actually, because I didn't really want to have to go through all that paperwork. But you were great. You were very responsive, and your program, you helped us get where. Actually, your program helped us save lives.
Well, that's really great to hear. Now, we are here in New Mexico. 501c3 Go is in New Mexico, and even though there are those animals or whatever you call them, most of New Mexico is really the land of enchantment, and it's beautiful.
It is a
But,
beautiful state. And had I known that, I would have stopped and paid you a visit. We're actually going to be going back to the Navajo Nation. I'll certainly give you a call.
yeah.
One thing I wanted to say that if anybody out there knows of any fire departments, police departments in their neighborhoods that are looking to leverage drone technology and they don't have the money, have them contact me directly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Our application process is really simple. It's, some questions, and we ask you to type. If at all possible, we'd rather have you set up a camera and look into the camera and tell us why you need the drone, how it could have saved, how could have been used in the past to save time, money, person's injury, or a person's life. There's just a lot to be said for looking in somebody's eye and hearing it from them, as opposed to reading it on a screen. So if they can we have the ability on our website to upload video, so they can upload the video and we'll promote that. And the other thing we do is if they have businesses in their area that have in the past supported public safety, whether it be fire, police, and they give us the names and the phone numbers of those companies, we'll reach out to them and ask them for money to help get them their asset. So we're trying very hard. Also, tomorrow is our second monthly grant funding webinar that we do once a month. It's for an hour, very informative. We show people where the money is for grant opportunities, whether it be federal, local, state, or corporate giving, or private giving for that matter. There's a lot of people out there who have more money than they know what to do with, and they're looking for a good cause to help. So, that's
do you need volunteers, Mark?
That's a great question. Our website, npsddp.org, was designed and developed by Digital Chores. Dominic was an amazing volunteer. He volunteered his time. We also have volunteers. If you go to our website, look at About Us and who we are, you'll see we have some volunteers, and we post their bios. We post why they've helped us, but we're always looking for volunteers. We have anybody in social media that could help us, anybody in marketing that could help us, anybody in fundraising especially that could help us. We'll take anybody's time if they want to help contribute to what we're doing.
Well, that brings up the question about donations. You'd like to have donations, I would suppose.
Monetary donations are good. We're really starting to ramp up on that. We've been very blessed to be able to have a lot of hardware donations. Private citizens have donated their drones to us. So we're really excited about that. So any kind of drone, it doesn't matter. If you want to donate, we'll find a home for it. I like to think of it this way. All of us definitely have a fire department or a police department, local or state, within our region. Think about all of the effort that those people put in, and maybe buy them a cup of coffee once a week, right? Wouldn't that be nice? And what you could do is you could instead of buying them a cup of coffee, take the cost of that cup of coffee, and let's say you're a Starbucks drinker, right? It's going to cost you $5 or $6 for that cup of coffee. Take that $25 a month, and donate it to us, and we'll save lives with that money.
Tremendous. In terms of getting in touch with you, I want to put something up on the screen so people can know how to get hold of you, your website,
yes,
and email and phone number.
Yeah.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see that fine. Yeah. So info@nps-ddp.org, and that's my direct phone line right there. You can call me directly.
Okay.
Or we can set up a meeting. We have a calendar thing that people can talk to us about. We're also looking for partnerships, David, with corporations, companies that want to do some giving for the community and help the communities back. So local businesses, like that coal company that donated that $6,000. That for them is a good sum of money, but it's not that much. So yeah, we could use your help for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for joining 501c3 Go, for getting to know you. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and connect with us on LinkedIn. Mark, thank you so much for your time this evening. We
Thank
really
you, David.
appreciate that. And I've learned a ton. I'm sure our viewers have learned it as well. So
So
thank
much
you
more
so
to learn.
much.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Have a great night.